2019. What an amazing year. It was definitely a roller coaster ride, and there were tons of ups and downs and different challenges in different areas of my life that came up. Got an opportunity to travel quite a bit and speak on stages and impact lives and do the things that I really love to do and I'm passionate about. It was a transformative year because some areas that I was struggling to improve on in the couple previous years, 2017, 2018, I finally broke through on this year. Business-wise, the biggest change that I made is I stopped trying to do everything in my business by myself, and being so overworked in the sense that I was wearing too many hats, I was changing between tasks and projects too much, and I was just a little scattered. I wasn't in my element, I wasn't working in my strength, I wasn't focused on my vision because I was being pulled into these other areas that I didn't enjoy, but it was necessary to do them. One of the best decisions ever was bringing on my younger brother Dave in an operations role, but he was also an assistant role at first too, so it was very vague. He was just offloading things from my plate and helping me in areas that he really enjoys and he's really good at. So we found this incredible dynamic between the two of us where he's more engineerial in his mindset, analytical, operations, systemized, organized, wants to see all the steps before we start, and I'm the opposite. I like to get started quickly and take action first and break shit. And then afterwards I literally break shit and like it doesn't work. So I was running into that so often that it was discouraging because good ideas, big concepts weren't coming to life. And they weren't coming to life because I didn't have the backbone of the operations, the backbone of being able to get organized. Once I started working with Dave, there was a huge learning curve there. It was his first time in that role. It was my first time in a role where I was working with someone like him. So this year very much was about growth and about trial and error and being adaptable to change, being resilient, being positive, being problem solving focused. So there was always new things coming up, and we stayed calm, we stayed cool, we stayed collected, and we stayed positive and grateful throughout all of it. And I'm super grateful that that was the case because the stress level in comparison to what it could have been was quite minimal. Then a little bit later on in the year, I realized that my brother wasn't meant to be my assistant. If anything, he was meant to be more of a partner and more of a yin and a yang and completing each other in our areas of weakness. The other person had a strength. So at that point, I realized I did need an assistant, and I started manifesting and looking for somebody that would fit that role. I hired on Jessica to then be my executive assistant and also an event planner. And that was a really amazing dynamic, and we could bounce ideas off of each other. It wasn't a two-way street. And that is really powerful when you collaborate with at least 3 people. You now have a mastermind as opposed to just a partnership. So everything kind of evolved from there.
What is that? Is that like, before I forget or whatever?
Overall, I just feel a lot of clarity. My biggest challenges that I can share were definitely around 2 specific areas. The first one was I was giving my time too freely to too many things throughout the year because I wanted to help others, but at the same time it was spreading myself too thin. So I have to really take a step back and not be so easily accessible and really decide what is the highest value and the highest priority, and make sure I honor that and set those boundaries all the time. I kept getting pulled into different directions and allowing it to happen. And I'm not gonna allow that any longer in 2020, because even though it makes me happy a little bit, it makes me unhappy way more. So it's counterproductive. And the second area was having too many ideas. My strength is coming up with ideas nonstop, constantly, every day. It never ends. It's a constant flow in my mind. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they're all great ideas, and it doesn't mean that we should do all those ideas. So for me to always be in this constant state of creation and flow and coming up with what we should work on next was holding me back, because my team, who was implementing my last set of ideas, was then distracted by the new idea like halfway through a project. So that was the thing that I didn't realize, how difficult it can be working with me when that is the vibe that I'm putting out there all the time. So now we put in some systems, operations, made some adjustments and some changes to still allow me to create those ideas, but put them through a filter, decide when or if we should work on any of those projects. And I'm really, really excited to kind of pull the reins back on the idea creation process and make sure that it doesn't jeopardize all the hard work and time and energy we've been putting in for sometimes months at a time before I implement something new. So that's going to be really powerful. At the end of the year now, here we are, and we're beautiful Playa del Carmen, Mexico, with the team at a villa. I'm sitting here with my feet in a pool, drinking a whatever this is. I think it's an Americano. Mexicano. And life is beautiful. The sun is rising literally right now as we speak, and it's so beautiful. And we came down here to really discuss what we did well, what we can improve on as a team. Tons of clarity came from that, and also mapped out the bigger vision for 2020 and beyond, which this is the first time I've done this. Now it's like, how can everybody contribute? How can everyone be a part of it? What do they all feel? How can we make sure that the big vision is aligned with their vision and it's congruent and authentic to themselves? And if it's not, then it's not a good fit. And that's perfectly okay too, because that is better than forcing it. It is better than being in a relationship of any kind that isn't serving you. So at the end of the day, sometimes it's hard, it feels hard to walk away, but it's for the better. And so we made sure that we got clear on that too. So the future is going to be brighter for everybody involved, but also for everybody who happens to not be involved. I'm just feeling super blessed and very grateful. In 1 year, you can learn so much. In 1 year, everything can change. And what's really wild about it is that in 1 year, sometimes the things that change don't even really show up in your external reality environment, because it's internal. It's like an internal transformation. And so many people aren't willing to give themselves credit for internal transformation because they don't have the external validation yet. And that is sad, because that is so far from the way it works. Yet, even though in 2019 we didn't show as much in terms of tangible results or tangible progress to the public, behind closed doors and internally, personally, we made massive strides in the right direction. And I know it's going to be the most incredible decade. Man, I'm so excited for it, because the last 10 years have changed everything. So I can only imagine what the next decade will do for myself, my family, my business, and everybody in my life, and also you. So I'm excited for it. Cheers to the future.